Welcome to Restart After Divorce. This is 12.
12.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive.
Feels like only a minute ago we were doing 11.
It happened so quickly, and I feel like we've done really well.
Yeah. Well, we still haven't stopped talking. It's when we get to episode 26 and we're just sitting here going,
I doubt it. I have like a list of things that we can talk about. Gets longer and longer and longer every
are you making a list? I mean, are you physically making a list in a little notepad?
Electronic list.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yep. I am not joking. I'm just always like, we will never run out of topic. It's just like, it gets longer and longer and longer every single day.
Good Lord. Okay. Well, luckily I'm here. Luckily I can talk. I can talk. I could talk to that pool table over there in the corner. I could talk to the wall. So let's talk. So you wanted to talk about, was it how did we screw up our kids or did we screw up our kids? Is one a question or one a statement?
I think it was a question in my mind when I was going through divorce that, like, I think it's because my parents are divorced, so I feel like I never feel loved. And when I was going through divorce and I was like, did I screw up my kids for going, having them go through that?
I feel like it was a history repeating itself moment.
Yes, yeah, totally. And my biggest worry was like about my kids was like, can they handle this? I did not assume that they would be okay.
So let's go back. Back. So how did you handle it? Because you actually have a frame of reference. How old were you?
I think I was 13, but my parents were not upfront about the divorce. We just moved to another country and my mom would come to visit once in a while. And they never told me that they were divorced. It was very odd.
So she stayed in Taiwan.
Yes. And
you and your dad moved to the States.
No, in Europe. We moved to Austria with my brother.
You. Even better.
And so I never had the opportunity to deal with all the mess of having divorced parents because it was just weird.
You just thought you were living somewhere else while mom was back home taking care of the hamster.
Right.
Yeah.
So I never dealt with that properly.
So they split at 13, or did you move before 13?
I moved when I was 13, so 13. They split.
But how long did it take for you to told that they were actually divorced?
I think when I was in college, they finally told me that they signed a paper.
Good Lord.
I know. So I feel I was like totally did not process their divorce. I was mentally like nobody ever asked me if I was okay. And it's just like, or my brother was okay. And we're just kind of like,
how's your brother?
He's 3 years younger.
Okay.
So it was always like, well, you guys can deal with it. We think it'll be okay. They didn't even tell us that, but it just kind of like to hide.
So did you think in those early years of them not being together that really it was just a case dad's taken a job in Austria, we're with dad, mum's staying home because of her job, her life, and she'll come visit?
Right.
Wow. See, it's interesting because my father, and so we can use this is analogous. My father was in the Royal Navy and he left when I was 2 years old, primarily because by then he had 2 kids, 2-year-old and a 1-year-old. He was 26 years old and said, you know what? This isn't what I want to do with my life. I want to be home with my wife and my kids. And he tried a number of jobs. He was a little difficult to work with at times, and I think that made it very difficult for him to keep jobs. But he was a very smart person, very much an autodidact, didn't have a great education back in Ireland, Belfast, when he was growing up, was in the Navy by the time he was 15. And he ended up in 1977, when I was 12 years old, deciding that the only place he could make good money was to go abroad. So he started to work in Saudi Arabia
Right.
at the beginning of the boom out there. And he started off as a plumber on the tools, but eventually worked his way up into inspection jobs and became an HVAC inspector. And on and off between 1977 and 2001, he was in the Middle East.
Okay.
So go back to the beginning of this process, and we're talking, I'm 12, my brother's 11. We're both in senior school, high school in Britain. I'm not enjoying myself at school at all. I hated school because the kids I was with, I was bullied, and I was smart, but I didn't apply myself as well as I could have. I was very much an introvert. Imagine that. I was very much a loner. In many ways, the situation between your parents was very much like the situation between mine.
In what way?
Physically, they weren't there. He was physically distant in the same way that your mother was physically distant. The reason I bring it up is that it's about how you configure, you frame the nature of the separation. Your mother was abroad. Let's assume that by virtue of the fact you're where you are, that's home. So you're in Vienna, Salzburg, wherever it was.
Right.
Living your life, you're going to school there, you're
Right.
assimilating and becoming a little Austrian schoolgirl.
Right.
Mum's away.
Right.
Now think back to me. I'm at home in Dagenham. My mother's there, my grandfather, my grandmother, my brother. So we have my family is there. Dad's gone.
Right.
Dad's gone for 6 months. I don't
Right.
see Dad for 6 months. I write to him daily. There is the occasional phone call, which in those days cost an absolute fortune.
Yes.
I mean, in the end, I pointed out to my parents that they were spending more on on phone calls than they were on airfare.
Oh, what?
And that's why eventually my mother started going. Once he could arrange for her to go out there, a good cost-saving measure was for him to just live there with her,
Right.
leaving me and my brother at home. So by the time I was 19,
They were
my
gone.
parents were gone. They left home. My parents left home when I was 19, not the other way around. But in those early years, I was effectively single-parented because it was mum and it was no dad, because dad would come home be gone for 6 months, come home for 2 weeks, be gone again. So we get him for a month a year.
Okay.
That is not much different from what you're telling me your life was. It was only the context of you finding out that your parents were really separated that gave you an inkling into the fact that your life could have been very much like mine, where you've got one absent parent, one present parent.
But the present parent was not really present either.
And that's where we do differ. So why was he not present?
I think it's the old Asian way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So back to what we've talked. Remember when we were talking about the fishing boat analogy with the net dragging behind? And as we were talking about that, I said, it depends on the ocean you're swimming in.
Mhm.
Depends where the ocean your net's in. Culturally, you probably did have a very different experience. Do you think it would have been different if your father had left and your mother had been with you?
I don't know. Because I feel my mom was not very nurturing either. So they were both.
Neither parent was nurturing.
No, they were not. They just, they let me do whatever I wanted.
Oh, you were a wild child?
I wasn't. But they were just like, they never
Sorry,
asked
folks,
me.
we're not going to find out in the dirt here.
So it's just like they were, neither one of them were nurturing. So they never received a hug, or they never said like they loved me. It's just, just like, hey, they didn't even ask me if I did my homework.
Wow.
So there's always.
So they couldn't even muster up basic obligations.
What my dad was good at doing is make me do all these chores. So I was taking care of my dad and my brother literally as a 13-year-old.
You were a slave.
Yes, but my mom, I think living with my mom would be a little bit different. She would have cooked and did all
Yeah.
these chores, but my dad was like, you know what,
you just took over from the mother's role.
Yes.
You were the provider.
Yeah.
He did the job. He had the money, but your job was to basically be the surrogate mother to your brother,
Yes.
and also surrogate wife in terms of cooking and cleaning.
Well, I didn't cook. He cooked during the week, but I had to go shopping with my brother. I got a list. I had to he didn't speak German, so I had to do all these like anything that involves the language. Because my brother, it took him a little while to learn the language.
But it's still interesting that if you are saying that your first 5 years of them being separated, you were not really aware of the fact that they were no longer together. It was just a domestic situation that you found yourself in. And did he tell you that you were going to Austria because his job required it of him?
No, he said because my brother studied music, classical music, so that's why we moved.
So it's kind of like I ran into somebody at the pub last year who was potentially on the cusp of moving to London because his son had trials with Arsenal Football Club. He was like a 10, 11-year-old kid, and he was going to go over there. And if he had been accepted by Arsenal, and I don't know if he was, but if he was accepted by Arsenal, his father was going to move over there with him in order to be close, so there'd be one family member.
Right.
But it sounded like the mother wasn't going anywhere.
Oh, good.
She was staying here with the other kids.
Oh, she was not.
Because it's very dislocating to suddenly up and move all the kids at once because one kid has a career opportunity.
Well, in my case, we both moved, and so I was different. But
it's interesting because, I mean, technically, I spent the next. So let's see. Let's think the chronology event. 77, he moved. He worked there until the mid-80s. Mid-80s, we moved down to the far southwest of England, and Dad was there for a while, but then found out that trying to work in England was still an impossibility in terms of the financial reward. So once again, he was off to the Middle East. He worked Saudi, he worked Abu Dhabi.
But you were grown at that point.
What's that?
You were grown.
So by 1984, yeah, I was 19 years old. And so we moved in 1984, but then on and off, he was going, coming, and it would always be like 6 months here, so 5 months there, a year. And many times, once we'd established the ability of my mother to go, that was a given. True story, Gulf War, Desert Storm. So when Desert Shield started, when the Iraqis invaded Kuwait, Saddam went into Kuwait, my father was working in Saudi Arabia, Dhahran Air Base, which is very close to the Kuwait border. There was a massive evacuation of employees and their families, because a lot of people would be able to take their family, especially if they were like Corps of Engineers, US Corps of Engineers. My mother went in the opposite direction.
Oh, no.
She actually managed to get her visa approved, and she flew into an active war zone.
No way.
And spent in all of Desert Storm from January of 1991 in Saudi Arabia. To this day, we still have little bits of shrapnel from the Scud missiles that were raining down on their house. But that's the nature of their relationship that she didn't want to be apart from. But for the years when it was just him out there, I think to where I am today with the kids, to bring it full circle. And one of the ways I cope with not being around them all the time is that I think as if I have a job. So if I'm saying goodnight to them at the end of the day, so I'm off to my job now.
Okay.
Like if I was an emergency medical technician, or I was a firefighter or a cop or something like that, or in the army, and you know that you can't be with the family all the time. There are going to be periods of extended detachment from the children.
Right.
That's how I get through it. I think to myself, okay, I'm leaving tonight, but I'll see them tomorrow morning. That's a lot better than many people who won't see their kids for 2 days or 3 days or 6 months or a year.
Right.
It's still not easy, but I still feel that's a far, far better situation for me to be in,
Right.
and also for the kids to be, than saying, okay, I will see you once every 3 weeks, once every week, or something like that. That kind of divorce settlement, that kind of agreement would have destroyed me emotionally. I could not have done it. But if the job required that I have to leave, that might be a different thing entirely. The longest I've been away from the children has been
The summer, right? You mentioned.
that's there.
Okay.
Them leaving, it's really interesting that the twins will be gone for 6 weeks.
Oh, 6 weeks. All right.
6 weeks, which isn't so bad. We've been doing it for a long time.
Right.
But the longest I've been away, when I've been the one who's left and left them behind here, has been 2 bursts of 5 weeks, when they were a year old and when they were 2 years old. And that was the 5 weeks when my mother had surgery for cancer. And then that was the 5 weeks a year later when she died. And that period was tough, but also easier to deal with because my mind was somewhat focused elsewhere. I was very focused on Mum's surgery and then very focused on Mum's final days.
Right.
But do we screw up the kids is an interesting question, because we could quite easily screw up the kids and be there all the time.
That's true. That's a valid point. And I finally, it's been many, many years, and my older one is 16 now, and he's doing really well. I mean, same with your...
Do you ask him? Do you ask him, how does it feel that your parents aren't together?
I did ask him because we're making this podcast, and he actually gave me a really good response. He's like, the only thing that's kind of inconvenient is that he has to have 2 sets of things at each parent's house. That's the only thing.
So it's a logistical thing, not an emotional, psychological thing.
Because his dad and I work together on his, for his best interest. So, but the younger one, it's a little challenging. So,
the younger one is the one where there's more confrontation.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
that a lot of it's to do with, are you screwing up the kids? Not necessarily. Is the situation with his father screwing up the kids? That might have more of an impact. That's for sure.
He's actually doing really well. He does well everywhere. So
kids are remarkably resilient. Talking to somebody earlier today, her children, all 3 of her children, she has a single and twins.
Oh, wow, like you.
Yeah, and they're in Eastern Europe right now with their father. They're together. They're not divorced or anything.
Right.
But her kids have left and gone to Eastern Europe to spend some time with his family.
Right.
And she's having distinct challenges. She's struggling with being away from her kids.
It is hard to get used to. It took me like a few years. And now it's just like, I've learned how to deal with it.
I would have a harder time if they were with me and I had to let them go. As it is, I'm the one who accommodates. I'm the one who goes to the house. I'm the one who has them stay with me, not because I thought it was the best idea, it's because it's what they wanted.
Right.
Once they saw the apartment, they were like, no, we want to be here.
Oh.
Like, okay,
great.
Fair enough. They gave up their separate bedrooms, their acre of land, their 8,000 square feet, more bathrooms than you know what to do with, more bedrooms than you know what to do with. And they're perfectly happy coming to a 1,000 square foot apartment. I have asked constantly over the years, I've done check-ins with all 3 of them.
Mm-hmm.
Are you okay with the way things are? And they're like, yeah, it's not a problem. I've had a couple of instances where they got teary-eyed and they've cried because I've had to leave. But on the whole, I think more so than me personally, the boys have adjusted to this reality.
It's good.
Yeah.
They're doing well, right? All 3 of them.
Yeah, well, the eldest, I think, is sufficiently self-focused. That's better than saying self-centered. Self-focused.
Well, that's the age, which is great.
Based upon his age.
Yeah.
he won't talk to me about it. He just will say, I don't want to talk about that right now.
Okay.
Like, are you okay with everything? Are you okay with the situation with me and Mom? I don't want to talk about it.
Okay.
Total, just, he will push back on the subject. The twins, on the other hand, constantly willing to discuss it. I've asked them, are you happy? Yes, we're happy. Do you like it this way? We prefer it this way, which is amazing because it does kind of make you think, are we more screwed up than the kids?
I think I am.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, it's like,
well, I mean,
it screws us up more because we
Yes.
have to deal with concepts of guilt. We have to deal
Right.
with concepts of anxiety about how will this affect them. We feel guilty about the fact that we're not together.
Right.
I do wonder what the long-term ramifications of this are going to be. How will they turn out as a result of this? Will they turn out better? Will they turn out worse? We will never know because they'll turn out the way they turn out.
But I feel like the way we parent is so different than the way we will parent it.
Oh,
So
God,
of
yeah.
course, I think because I think my kids feel supported and loved, and I think the end result is going to be completely, different how they would feel
Yeah.
when they are grown up. I think that made such
And yeah, I mean, for
huge
me,
difference.
sometimes I feel as if what happened with my relationship was we inverted the roles. I'm far more loving and sweet and nurturing and delicate with the kids. Hence, I've been told I baby my children. Their mother, who is an economist and has a PhD, is far more practical and objective in the way that she deals with things.
That's a great blend, right? You can
It
have
is.
both that
But then
way,
on the-
like one.
But then again, it doesn't always play well. I've been accused of being quote unquote a Disney dad. All I do is deal with the fun stuff. To which I push back and say, yeah, I'll admit I don't have your planning skills. I don't have your mental capabilities, but I do bring a lot of love to the table, which I feel
Yeah.
is something they need. They need to
Very important.
want it. The worst situation is to be in a situation where your kids think either one or both of the parents don't really care.
Right.
That can be the problem.
Yeah.
Or they're overly critical, or they're cold and they're distant, or they're emotionally absent. They don't even have to be physically absent. They can just be emotionally absent.
Right.
And that's enough for the kids to feel unwanted, unloved. So I think regardless of whether you're in a nuclear family under one roof or you're in two separate homes, how you deal with the kids is over and above anything about the physical configuration of the family. I always made it clear when I used to joke about it. I said, now we're going to be like really rich people. Dad's going to have a place in the city. Mum's going to be living in the country, and you're going to float between the two.
Okay.
Like, that's many successful couples live like that. I know people who barely seem to register a relationship with their kids because they've outsourced it to everybody else.
Right. Yeah.
They have the nannies, they have the staff, they have
Yeah.
these people who effectively seem to do most of the heavy lifting around their children. And then they just kind of swoop in every so often, show presents, and buy presents, and then they're gone again.
Right.
I was talking to somebody at work, and he was indicating it was really tough when he was at a different company and had to travel a lot. He said he'd be gone like 40 weeks out of the year
Oh, wow.
with children.
That's a lot of time away.
He said, I could be gone for a month or 2 months,
Right.
and then I'd be home for a week with the kids, and then I'd be gone again.
Wow.
I was like, how could you do that? I mean, I always I would love to be in a consulting job where I could travel a lot. That's the old me. That's the
Right.
me before 2008. Now where we are, I could never imagine being away from the kids unless it's a matter of life or death. So have we screwed up the kids? No.
No. That's good. That's good to know.
Rarely do we have this conversation and we end up with a solid answer at the end of it.
Yeah, it's a good thing we found the answer. Yeah.
But it's unique to us. I mean, we're lucky in that respect. I think that because we put in the sweat equity necessary to allow the kids to have that opportunity to grow up as normal children, whether we're physically together or even far apart,
Right.
it would be a lot harder. So where are the parents? Where are the dads? Are they local?
Yes, they're local. Yeah.
Okay, so they're both local.
Yep.
That makes a difference. If you had go back to your situation where you got one parent in Europe and the other one 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 miles away, it's a totally different ballpark.
Yeah.
It's a different game entirely.
Yeah, one of my ex did move away for a couple years. I think it was quite a bit of time, but he
Yeah.
did come back.
You sorry about that?
No, I actually asked him to move back.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, that's cool.
Because I feel like his presence would be important to.
Did he push back? Or was he like, I'll do it?
Well, it took him time to find a job and get things sorted. So, yeah, he didn't. He worked towards it. It took him because he had to take care of his parents. So then he moved close to his parents, and then he looked for a job and moved back. So it did take him a little bit to get the job sorted out and everything else. Yeah, so he did do it.
Yeah, because it would be very different if I didn't live close by.
Right. Yeah.
I think it would be a far harder situation to deal with emotionally.
And I think it's important for a boy to have a father figure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm very grateful that he did move back.
That's good. Because they love the kids in their own way.
Yep.
It's, and I'll say it again. I mean, I've said it many times before. I'm lucky that my relationship with my ex, their mother, is remarkably calm.
Yeah, it's great.
It does make a huge difference. We're not constantly each other's throats.
Yep.
If that was the case, we'd have more issues, far more issues, and you know that the kids are going to get sucked into that dysfunction.
Yep.
I remember when we told my eldest we were going to divorce, one of the first things he said, but why now? You don't fight as much as you used to.
Oh, wow.
Because it was evident to him as he was 15, 16.
As a teenager, that he saw the
he'd
tension.
watched it all through the years. He'd watched the tension.
Yeah.
Because that's always been one of the things. I may have mentioned this in previous podcasts. One of the things I became very aware of after the divorce was reading articles about people. I have mentioned this. And they said, their parents split up when such and such was 6 or 7, whatever. And the way it's always worded, and it could be just my interpretation, my own personal biases, but it's mentioned primarily because it's seen as some kind of adversity. That suddenly, instead of being in a house with mum and dad, you're in a house with just mum or just dad. It doesn't take into account, you don't understand that divorce by itself usually is the implication there's a problem. And some of those problems can be very severe. It's actually better for the children not to be around one spouse. One parent could be very abusive, could be emotionally, physically, sexually abusive. A divorce by itself is not a simple cut and dry. We were happy one day.
Right.
We
It's never
got divorced.
Yeah. We talk about this.
Real friction. There's real issues there. And just by virtue of the fact that you are bringing up kids in the middle of all that dysfunction, there's more chance you'll screw up the kids by staying married rather than getting divorced.
I agree.
So there you have it. We have not screwed up our kids.
It's great.
Congratulations.
Yeah. All right. That's a great ending for this episode. Wow.
That's it.
So please like and subscribe.
Are we doing 13 or are we skipping straight to 14?
Oh, we are doing 13, I think. Yeah.
Look at you. You don't fear anything, do you? We're doing unlucky 13.
Oh, it's fine.
All right, we'll find something really meaty to talk about.
Okay.
Okay. You can say your bit again now.
All right. See you then.
Take care. Bye.